The men of Ephraim called out their forces, crossed over to Zaphon, and said to Jephthah, "Why did you go to fight the Ammonites without calling us to go with you? We're going to burn down your house over your head, or burn down your house with you in it." Now they did this to Gideon before. Remember? After he got done, or actually as he was still pursuing some of the remainder of the enemy army. In Judges 7, actually Judges 8, the Ephraimites asked Gideon, "Why have you treated us like this? Why didn't you call us when you went to fight Midian?" And they criticized him sharply. Now he was able to, Ephraim by this point is already becoming like a dominant force. They will be the dominant force in the northern kingdom in days to come. And you can, I think, already kind of see that taking shape here is that they're like in the middle of the country. And they kind of control a lot of that central area. And you can kind of already see here that they're becoming the big guys in the block. Like, we want to be involved. We want the credit for all these victories. Gideon was able to get past that. He was able to kind of smooth that out. The Jephthah is not going to be that tactful. Jephthah answered, "I and my people were engaged in a great struggle with the Ammonites. And although I called, you didn't save me out of their hands." I don't know if he called or not. We don't read about him doing that. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He says he did, but I don't know if he did. Maybe he did. But we didn't read about it, at least. You didn't save me out of their hands, so you didn't do anything for me. Now, Gideon was able to pacify them by saying, "You got the credit for catching the most important guys." Jephthah is not saying that to anything like that to these guys now. "When I saw that you wouldn't help, I took my life in my hands and crossed over to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gave me victory over them. Now, why have you come up today to fight me?" Jephthah then called together the men of Gilead and fought against Ephraim. The Gileadites struck them down because the Ephraimites had said, so this was their rebuttal to what Jephthah said a moment ago, "You Gileadites are renegades from Ephraim and Manasseh." So they're striking him right at the heart of his illegitimacy there. They're saying that you're an illegitimate son, you're all bastard children, and that was just an insult that was too much for Jephthah to bear. So he's fighting them. Gideon managed to smooth things over and avoid an intra-tribal civil war, but Jephthah was not able to do that. So the Gileadites captured. Now the Ephraimites apparently went to Gilead to do this, to have this fight, to have this dispute. So they're in their territory. Now they're going to cut them off and keep them from going back. The Gileadites captured the ford to the Jordan, leading to Ephraim. And whenever a survivor of Ephraim said, "Let me cross over," the men of Gilead asked him, "Are you an Ephraimite?" If he replied, "No," they said, "All right, say Shibboleth." If he said Sibboleth, because he could not pronounce the word correctly, they seized him and killed him at the fords of the Jordan. 42,000 Ephraimites were killed at that time. This must have been going on for a while. I don't think this was just something that happened in a week or a month. This was going on for some time. Jephthah led Israel 6 years. So it may have happened for most of those 6 years, who knows. Then Jephthah the Gileadite died and was buried in a town in Gilead. But the land did not have rest. Remember back earlier in Judges when we were reading? When a judge died, or before a judge died, it was said, okay, Judges 5, last verse in Judges 5. This is about Deborah and Barak. And the land had peace 40 years. Judges 3, the end of Judges 3, Ehud. After Ehud came Shamgar. Actually, excuse me. It doesn't say it there. But right back before that, in verse 30, after Ehud, he struck down Moab. Moab was native to Israel, and the land had peace for 80 years. Othniel, the first judge, verse 11, had peace for 40 years until he died. Now the land is not having peace. After Gideon's death, there is no more mention of the land having rest. During Gilead's lifetime, the land enjoyed peace for 40 years. And we know what happened after his death. There was a civil war with his son of Amalek. And the judges after that, Tola, in the beginning of chapter 10, led Israel 23 years. No mention of the land having rest. Jair led Israel 22 years. No mention of the land having rest. Jephthah led Israel 6 years. No mention of the land having rest. So conditions are getting gradually worse, and they're staying worse. And the judges themselves are getting worse. The judges themselves are getting worse in character and worse in leadership as time goes on. After him, Ibzan of Bethlehem led Israel. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters. He gave his daughters away in marriage to those outside his clan, and for his sons he brought in 30 young women as wives from outside his clan. Ibzan led Israel 7 years. Then Ibzan died and was buried in Bethlehem. Again, no mention of the land having peace. After him, Elon the Zebulunite led Israel 10 years. Then Elon died and was buried in Ajalon, the land of Zebulun. Again, no mention of the land having peace. After him, Abdon, son of Hillel from Pirathon, led Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons, who rode on 70 donkeys. He led Israel 8 years. Then Abdon, son of Hillel, died and was buried in Pirathon in Ephraim, in the hill country of the Ammonites. Again, no mention of the land having rest. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Now, this doesn't say after this. The previous few paragraphs kept starting after him, after him, after him. This doesn't say that. It just says again. I don't know if it happened again after these guys, or just again in general. It was just constantly going on again, again, again. Again, the timeline is very hard to make out. But again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. I believe this goes along with what we read at the beginning of Judges 10, when he talked about Judges 10, verse 7. He became angry with them and sold them into the hands of the Philistines and Ammonites, who that year shattered and crushed them. We dealt with the Ammonite issue on the east side of the country, but I believe the Philistine issue on the west side of the country is still going on during this time.